Hello and welcome to Kin in Line. Um, this project is aimed at showing how I learned to draw, had a career in journalism, but continued to draw throughout my life. So this is me on the left in the red and orange outlandish outfit next to Mr. Jack Lugg, who was the head of the art department at the East London Tech Art School. So this is about 1977, and we used to go on these regular sketching jaunts. This is the gang of students with whom I shared a few years in the late from 1975. So this is actually my second gig, as it were. I attempted earlier to do this intro without success because I hadn't mastered the camera on this phone. But now I think I should do better. Here is the real early attempts in this. This is a large, they called it a layout pad. And it really was for one to just practice drawing in the various disciplines. So here is I was nowhere at this point. So this is an object drawing, and one didn't really know how to do it, but in fact this wasn't too bad an attempt, as you'll see when I get on to other. It looks as though I started off quite well with object drawing. This is a piece of driftwood, and things would only get worse as I got onto life drawing. Now this was the big hurdle. Okay, here we've got a few examples of typography, which was also something we had to learn. And it was this guy that was the bugger, life drawing. So look at this. This is one of numerous poses that Mr. Lugg would arrange for us, or the other lecturers, but it was mainly Jack Lugg. And here, okay, it's, I suppose people who can't draw a line would say, well, that's at least looks a bit like a human figure. But it fails in all the main disciplines of shading, and at least it's solid and on the ground. But really this was going to be a hurdle. And using these big pads didn't really help, I don't think. So yeah, I was nowhere. This would have been the first year at art school. Look at this. It's just absolutely struggling. I even introduced those weird lines for some reason. I'm sorry if the image shines through from behind, but I'm not going to worry to try and rectify that now. All I'm trying to show is that at the outset one really struggled. But I think even there, there is some sign of hope. But look at the shading here, it's just a squiggle. No hand. Again, I was just pottering around and trying my damnedest, but getting nowhere fast. Here I think I was influenced by Ingres, the French, what was he, a sort of romantic artist. But anyway, he used to stress outline, but outline is no good when you don't have the backing of a good understanding of drawing. Okay, so this was just a page of rather nice typography. Ironically, I would get into typography in quite a big way when I became a journalist, but not designing it or. Okay, so, and then my enjoyment of abstract art sort of dominated everything, and I wasn't really, I think, equipped mentally to be going back to sorry, I'm going to have to do a little tour around the table here, because as I said, one of Jack Lugg's pet things was to take us out to various locations to sketch. And here, even though we're barely learning to draw, we were in the harbour. And yeah, this is an early effort. At least I've got some cranes going and a little boat in the foreground. I'll probably be walking that way again, knowing my luck. No. So this was out at a place called Cove Rock, outside East London, just to the west. And again, you can see the shading on this rocky outcrop isn't great. But at least I think I was showing some sort of skill in capturing this wave as it pushed through next to the outcrop. It's a kind of a promontory, I think they call it, with a little ship on the horizon. So this book, I mean, I had to lug this thing around. Yeah, this looks like the same spot, but I'm trying to even work out what the heck's going on here. Not easy. And then I had a little escape in this jet. And actually there's even a bit of decent line quality here, despite this, my being up against it when it comes to actually drawing from the figure. We did a course in perspective as well, and this is some early stuff. I mean, if you think that consider that the Renaissance was built around perspective and other disciplines, but really perspective transformed art. So here we are again, bold outlines and no real attempt to attack the problems of drawing and conquer them. Here I was obviously influenced by illustrations where, you know, they leave out most of the body and just include a little bit. I think the only merit here is in the face, probably. And then one of my art masters, you can just see it shining through above the picture beyond, but this was Gert van Zyl. He was actually a photography lecturer, but he clearly knew a bit about drawing as well, and this was his attempt to help me. So you can see I was nowhere, and he was trying to at least set me on course. Yeah, and when a beautiful young woman came to pose, of course, most young guys weren't all that focused on trying to master the art of drawing when you were confronted. I mean, and she was still fully clad. There were others less fully clad, let's put it. Okay, so here's a little bit of decent line, at least, in the squiggles of that hair, but as a actual art life drawing, it's nowhere really. It's all about trying to find a way of describing form. And although this has some merits, I mean, at least I've got the feed on, there is a sense of describing form here. It's actually one of the better ones, I think. I wouldn't have recognized it at the time. and then a little bit of fun down the bottom here. Yeah, I was later to realize as I've been going through my drawings that object drawing, which is what still life really is actually a very good discipline, in a good way of learning to show three-dimensional form on a flat page. And although there's a lot lacking in this in terms of nuance and subtlety, and obviously that ellipse doesn't work, at least, I was getting there with my object drawing. Another example of object drawing, and yet another. I think because Mr. Love focused on life drawing to such an extent, one undervalued the teaching of the object drawing lecturer. So that was me just trying to use my typography skills, such as they were. Another little piece of object drawing, so a little twig. So, yeah, at least here, one is exploring form with pencil, but not fully confident in how to actually do it. Yeah, just slipped in as a little, all the time we were having to do designs for, what's the word, graphic art here, like silk screens, woodcuts, that sort of thing. And here I had a bit of fun, and actually this is part of the learning process, because although this is just out of the imagination and it's probably more self-portrait than anything, there is some good shading really in the tent behind this art, desert artist with his typewriter there and his multi-limbed arms. And of course, a face to die for. Yeah, there's a couple of little designs for ceramics. I also did ceramics, so this was just for a bowl. I used a snake and a butterfly as inspiration for the design. Bob Dylan's influence was strong on me, and here we have part of one of his songs from the 60s. So I think this one's barely visible, so you can see it's not even worth looking at. Likewise, this shows you how tentative I was. I mean, there's actually nothing there. I went from so bold to totally tentative. Again, here, probably so in awe of this young woman's figure. So I'm going to leave it at this, I think, for now, where you can see I'm totally in the doldrums. Cheers for now.